Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the End Zone Enthusiasts. And today we are going to do our picks for week 8. God, this season is whizzing by. It's almost Halloween. It's crazy. But with that being said, you guys will always want to know how we're doing. And last week we went 9-6 with our picks. Yet again, not as good as we were hoping, but we are winning. We've only had one brutal week, and it was a week that San Diego lost to the Giants, and it was a crazy week. I mean, that week I kind of put an asterisk by here, but we were 9-6, which gives us a total of 68 and 39. So we're a plus 29 right now with our picks. Now, am I happy with that? Heck no. But before we get any farther and start going into our picks, let's talk about why we are the End Zone Enthusiasts. And it's very simple. We are coaster enthusiasts who love the NFL. And today's t-shirt is Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom. Now, I have not been to Kentucky Kingdom in 4 or 5 years. This is an older shirt, might even be Aries shirt. But this is one of the rides that I always said needed to be cloned. So when you go to Kentucky Kingdom, which is right by, it's pretty close to Kings Island, but it's definitely a place that I highly recommend going. It's a very unique place, and it's now part of the Dollywood Parks. All right, we're done talking about the End Zone Enthusiasts and Lightning Run. Let's talk about who has bye weeks this week. And I have no clue why the NFL does this. The last 2 weeks, there was 2 teams on bye. Week with the byes had 4. Then you had 2 weeks and 2. And now they got 6. This is ridiculous, having 6 teams off. Why not do 4 every week? Why not? The numbers work out there. You have 32 teams, do 4 every week. The fact that you had 2, and now 6, that's just crazy. But the teams that are on bye this week are the Arizona Cardinals, which they definitely need a week to dust themselves off. They've been getting beat up there. Detroit, who is pretty hot, but they can always take a week off there. Jacksonville, who just had 2 really challenging games. And the last 2 weeks, Trevor Lawrence has been sacked 7 times each time. They need a break so Trevor can knock off the bruises. The Vegas, nobody cares because there's not many fans there. The LA Rams, yet again, hopefully they get the week off. Puka comes back. And then Seattle is one of those teams that has been solid, but it's a good time to have a bye week. But those are the teams. You've got, 3 of them actually from the NFC West. So I kind of feel San Francisco, which is a team that could really use a bye. But those are the bye weeks. Let's get into tonight's game, Thursday night game. Minnesota vs. LA Chargers. So let me take a quick sip here. Well, I'm going to tell you right off the bat here. These are 2 teams that are very evenly matched. You've got Minnesota, who has been, they got the talent, but they don't have the quarterback. Sam Darnold, they replaced Sam Darnold with the rookie, J.J. McCarthy. He's been hurt most of the year. I think he's played 2 games, and they've been pretty much, their season's been determined by Carson Wentz. Very scary. On the defensive side of the ball, they've got some of the best defensive players and a great scheme going right there. Very happy with their defense. Their offense, like I said, they're missing the quarterback. Meanwhile, I got the Chargers who, yet again, it's a verb. We all say it. You don't want to charger it up. And even though they started out 3-0 with 3 divisional wins, they have since gone 1-2. And at this point, they got to right this ship here. So you got 2 teams that are evenly matched, 2 teams with pretty much the same record going head-to-head. Who's going to win? Well, I just think the Chargers have a better quarterback. Herbert is definitely a starter on pretty much every team in the league. And Carson Wentz, who's been with 6 teams in 6 years. I got to go with the Chargers. Now, I could be wrong. Minnesota could, wake up, and you do have Jefferson, you do have Adelson, you have Hackenberg. You've got great, and Aaron Jones is out, but they've got a good running attack too. So I could be totally wrong on this, but my guts tell me that the Chargers are going to take this game, and let's see how it is tonight. Next, there is no international games anymore. They got a couple in November, but none are in the United Kingdom. The rest of them are in Spain and I believe Germany. So here, when you wake up in the morning, you don't have a game. Your game doesn't start until 1 o'clock. So the first bowl that we're going with is the Metro South Bowl. Both are southern cities, but both are a lot more metro, a lot more modern, a lot more hip than when you think about the South. So you got the Miami Dolphins against the Atlanta Falcons. So you got Miami, who every week it's worse. And last week they were playing the 1-5 or 1-6. I think it was 1-5. 1-5 Cleveland Browns against 1-5 Miami Dolphins, evenly matched. And they got destroyed by Cleveland. So Miami at this point, I can't believe that Tua is still their starting quarterback with all the interceptions and the way he's just blowing up any leadership ability he had. And McDaniel's having a job. It's been ugly in Miami. Miami is definitely the top 3 worst teams. Some might argue the worst team. Going against Atlanta, who they're hot and they're cold. They're hot and they're cold. Every game, you don't know which Atlanta team you're getting. This is the team that has decimated teams, and then they get shut out by Carolina. I don't know who's going to be there, but the one thing I do know is Miami is in turmoil. And because of that, no matter which team shows up for the Falcons, the 35 points, 50 points a game there, locking it down, or the team that gets shut out by Carolina, no matter which team shows up, I'm pretty sure they're beating Miami. The next game is the very confusing bowl. And yet again, Miami is crap. But Miami has a win. The New Jersey Jets, you don't deserve New York, you're New Jersey, are the only winnless team in the league. And it doesn't make sense. They got a very good defensive-minded coach, but yet he gives up a lot of points. The offense is a little bit struggling because Justin Fields isn't that great, so much so that Justin Fields probably is going to be benched and will probably never have a starting job again in the NFL. Simple as that. He's had shots in Chicago. He didn't do too bad with the Steelers, and this was his time to be. I'm going to throw it to Garrett Wilson. I'm going to, Bryce is kicking butt with the running attack. This is my team. And it's going to be Tyrod Taylor. It's going to be Tyrod Taylor. Going up against Cincinnati, who was dead in the water after their first Joe broke. But the second Joe came in, and he was able to get the ball to Chase. Chase got the ball every other play. But they also have Higgins and all that. If Joe Flacco can play the way he played, mistake-free, they got a chance to get back into this game again, this division with Pittsburgh. So I got to go with Joe, and the Bengals now have a winning streak, 2 games in a row. I don't know what's going on with the Jets. We've all seen a viral clip of that kid, I hate this team, but I'm a Jets fan for life, but I hate this team. And that's how it is with the Jets. I feel bad for the Jets. They went all in on Aaron Rodgers and whatever Rodgers wanted, and that blew up in their face. They had a decent coach with Rodgers, Saleh, and then they chased him out of town because Aaron Rodgers wanted different. And like I said, they're a team in turmoil. And I think the turmoil continues. They're going to be winless. Next one is the solid matchup bowl. This is New England Patriots against the Cleveland Browns. Now, do not look at the records. If you look at the records, this is going to be a blowout win by the Patriots. But you got to remember 2 things. First thing is where New England is weak is where Cleveland is strong offensively. The running attack with the young guy has been very good. Meanwhile, New England's been having some trouble with the run. And you got to remember, definitely is good at getting turnovers. And the running back with New England, he coughs it up. So last week, Cleveland beat Miami, and they beat him soundly. And it was all Gabriel, and it was all the running attack. So it does show that Gabriel definitely should be above Shedeur. And like I said, with that defense, you're always in the game. Meanwhile, you've got New England, who is now 2 games up, 1 game in the standing and 1 game with the tiebreak over Buffalo. They are in the driver's seat in this division. So how is this going to shake up? Pats are going to win, but yet again, it's not going to be an easy win. That D with Cleveland is going to keep them in the game no matter what. So with that being said, I got to go with New England Patriots. Next one is the Revenge Bowl. Giants might have snuck up on the Eagles, but Dart is going to be a lawn dart this week. Yeah, you heard me. I like that one. He's going to be a long dart because we're going to hit him so hard because Brandon Graham's back. Okay, not because of that, but let's be serious for a second here. So the Giants are a rebuilding team, and they kind of caught the Eagles on a bad week. I think the Eagles took them too lightly. They thought it was kind of a bye week with a divisional opponent, and they got punched in the face. But last week, Jalen Hurts actually utilized A.J. Brown, utilized Smith, utilized Goddard. Still need to work on Saquon. So they worked on that end there too. So they got the passing game going. The defense is getting better. With Mitchell, who was hurt, he played sparingly last week, and they were able with Mingo and a few others to actually get the coverage they need. Moving Cooper DeJean to sometimes being the slot where he's supposed to be, but then sometimes going with the second corner spot. Fangio is figuring out where to go. They need to get a pass rush. That's why they brought back Graham. Is he going to help? Who knows? But at least they're trying to address concerns. Meanwhile, look at Giants. Giants had that game. Giants should have beat Denver, and then they just fell apart. And no offense to Dart, but he threw a pick at the worst possible time. So there's a lot of skill. There's a lot of excitement with the Giants. But the reality is the Eagles are not going to let them sneak up on them. They're going to pound them, and make sure that the Giants realize you are not at our level yet. So Eagles are going to take that game. Next one is a solid test bowl. You've got, for both of these teams, this is a marquee game for them. You got Carolina, who has a winning streak. 2 is a streak. So they have a winning streak and been looking good. They've been, on both sides of the ball. Bryce Young is starting to grow into the position. And even if he's hurt, you've got Andy Dalton, who is a consummate professional and had the job until he got hurt. So with that being said, Carolina is on the upswing. Meanwhile, Buffalo was winning with smoke and mirrors. You got that Baltimore game that definitely, changed the tide. But the last 2 games, they got rocked like the Eagles did. The difference is they were on bye week last week, so they didn't have a chance to resurrect themselves. This is a chance for them to do it. You got Josh Allen with a week off. Hopefully the defense gets a little bit healthier, having that getting pounded into the ground last week. And you got Carolina who's flying high. So what direction is it going to be? I'm going to say the Cats streak's going to end. I think the Bills are going to right the ship. I think the Bills have a wake-up call. I think in the beginning of the year, this is our division. We're not worried about the division. We're worried about seeding. Well, now you're 2 games behind New England. If New England wins, which I am planning them to do against Cleveland, and you lose to Carolina, 3 games. 3 games. You're now playing for a wild card, all right? 3 games is tough to come back from. Tampa Bay did it, but Tampa Bay, they need a big meltdown with Kirk Cousins. I don't see Drake May doing that. So that being said, this is almost a must-win for the Bills, and because of that, I have the Bills winning. The next one is get off the mat bowl. Come on, Baltimore. Baltimore was supposed to be the best team. People already had them slated in for the Super Bowl, beating Kansas City in the playoffs. And now they're 1-5, 1-6, 1-5, I think. Not a place to be out from, especially when you have Pittsburgh with only 2 losses. You got Cincinnati. Even Cleveland's better than you right now. They got to get off the mat. They're playing for jobs now. All right. They're not playing for the playoffs. They're playing for respect. Meanwhile, you got Chicago, who hot and cold, really cold in the beginning of the year, started getting it going, and then lost last week. It's one of those teams that you don't know what you're getting every week, kind of like Atlanta. But with this being said, you got a Baltimore team. And because of the desperateness, I think the Ravens are going to right the ship with a win this time. I think they've had 2 weeks. They were off last week like Buffalo to prepare for this game. Lamar, hopefully, knock on wood, is going to be able to come back. And then I think they just need to pound Derrick Henry like they did in the past and make that happen. The next one is the very mid bowl. So you got San Francisco, who's 5-2, which is fantastic considering all the injuries they have. But because of all the injuries, I can't believe in them, really. And then you got Houston, who, yet again, they're starting to right the ship. They're starting to get things together. They lost last week, but they got 2 victories. But they're in the division with Jacksonville, who's sputtering a bit. But you got the Colts, who have the best division there. So if you want to have any chance of the playoffs, this is a must win for Houston. So this is going to be one where I think it's still going to be Mac Jones. Is he going to continue to do what he's doing? I mean, he gets pounded every week. Your defense, you're down Bosa, you're down Fred Warner. You're in bad shape on that defense too. Is Houston going to be able to exploit that? Or is Max Magic going to keep going? Well, I think Max Magic is going to do it. I think San Francisco gets yet again another victory that they need, and they're going to be 6-2. And I might have to put them in the top. They're not in my power rankings, but you go 6-2 and you beat Houston, you're going into the power rankings. Simple as that. The next one is the cure for a hangover bowl. Listen, Tampa Bay got their ass handed to them against Detroit. They were the walking wounded. Anytime they try to get something going, they get a penalty or they do an interception or a fumble. Tampa Bay, who was our number one team, is now number 6 in our power rankings. They looked horrible. But if you need to right the ship, you want to play the New Orleans Saints. Now, don't get me wrong about the Saints. They're not a pushover this year. They are definitely not a pushover this year. But I think Tampa, yet again, is at a different level, kind of like I would think New England is at a different level than Cleveland and stuff like that. So because of that, this is the perfect team you want to play. Maybe Tennessee might be slightly better, but if you are hurting, this is a good one to go with. And the Bucks are going to sound that cannon, baby. Even though it's not in Tampa, they can still launch it. Even if the game's not there, they can still turn off the camera, the cannons. Definitely believe in that. So next one here is the Double D Bowl, Dallas against Denver. And you know what? This is going to be a much closer game than most people realize. The top offense in the league is still Dallas. Their defense played better last week, and they got that win against Washington, which as an Eagles fan, I appreciate it because that got Washington one game below us, even farther below us. So I appreciate that. But now you're playing a defense, which is one of the, I think that might be number 1, number 2. So you got a top offense going against the top defense. And Denver, like I said, they're spotty. Yeah, they won 33-32, but 2 missed extra points was the difference in that. And also you were down 19-0, 26 whatever. You know, you were definitely looking up the entire game. So that's why I'm kind of curious. It's going to come down to, is that Dallas's offense better than the defense? Because I think it's going to be pretty even also with, is Bo Nix going to be hot or cold going up against the defense, which has some problems, not much of a pass rush. They do have Clowney, and Clowney was a good pickup. I think the Eagles should have grabbed Clowney instead of letting Dallas do it. But this one could be a lot closer than I think. But I'm going to say Denver's going to pull out another win. I don't think it's going to be a dominating situation. I think it's going to be another one. It might not be a last-minute one again, but I do think it's going to be a very close game. And I'm kind of leaning towards Denver just because I believe in that defense more than I believe in that Dallas offense. Next one here is most automatic bowl. It is the Indianapolis Colts playing the Tennessee Titans. Well, the reality is you got 2 teams that people thought were going to be battling for 3rd place in this division. You got Indianapolis is not making mistakes. They got the right quarterback in the right situation with the right running back, right receivers, and your number 1 draft pick, Tyler, is just blowing it up. So you are doing everything right, and your defense is just solid. Going out against a team that's already lost their coach for the year. They have a rookie who looks flustered with a talentless roster. The only thing I think you got going for you is the running attack, all right, with Pollard. But that's the only offense I see. So with that being said, not going to put there. Colts are going to avoid a trap game because it is a trap game. It's easy not to play up for Tennessee, but you got to get out of that. You saw what happened to the Chargers when they played the Giants. See with the Eagles when they played the Giants. Trap teams are trap games. Very challenging. Next one is the game of the week, which is good because it's a Sunday night game. Green Bay against Pittsburgh. Now, forget about the Aaron Rodgers stuff and Jordan Love. The matchup is just really good. Green Bay is still an honorable mention because I just don't believe in them the way they played the last couple weeks. In the beginning, they looked unstoppable. Then they tied and all that. They only have 1 loss, just like the Colts. But I just don't believe in them as much. And same thing with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh should have walked all over Cincinnati, and they end up losing. So this game is going to be a pretty close game. But with that being said, I'm going with the coin flip. I'm flipping it towards the Pack. I think Green Bay is going to take that. And last but not least, we have one Monday night game this week because you have everybody on bye. And it's the Washington Commanders against the Kansas City Chiefs. And Washington, you know what? They are the only legit threat, no offense, Giants, total offense to Dallas, in the NFC East. So if they get another loss and the Eagles win this week, the Eagles are pretty much taking that division. I can say that because I don't see a meltdown coming. We've hit a hard part of our schedule. It's going to get easier with Philadelphia. Meanwhile, Kansas City, they lit up their last opponent, shut them out. But the opponent was Raiders. So this will be a good matchup to see where Kansas City really is. Now, my gut is telling me, it hurts me to say it, but Chiefs are going to win. I got to say the Chiefs are going to win. I just think that Washington isn't playing, they're having a sophomore slump, and they're not playing the way they used to play. So, in conclusion, these are the teams I have winning, all right? The LA Chargers over Minnesota. Atlanta over Miami. Cincinnati over the Jets. New England over Cleveland. Philadelphia, revenge over the Giants. Buffalo beating Carolina, but a closer game than we want. Baltimore finally getting that second win of the year against Chicago. San Francisco beating Houston and just still being a zombie and walking forward. Tampa Bay, who I have as my eliminator suicide pool, that's my pick this week, and I am still in it, believe it or not. I have them going against the Saints. I have them beating the Saints. Denver beating Dallas. Indianapolis massacre in Tennessee. Green Bay in a close game winning against Pittsburgh. And Kansas City beating Washington. So on Tuesday, we're going to have the results. We're going to let you know how we do. And then on Wednesday, the power rankings. And then a week from today, we're going to let you know who week is going to win in week 9. So once again, guys, fly, Eagles, fly. Baker's got to bake. And Buffalo, you better right the ship this week.